I want to thank you again for joining us. We're in the western North Carolina mountains and have a beautiful example here. This is a 1969 Datsun 2000. And just to tell you a little bit about Datsun nowadays, of course, they changed the name to the corporate name to Nissan. It's been Nissan all along, but when they brought the cars in those days, they called them Datsuns. Tell you a little bit about this one. This car, a lot of people are familiar with the 240Z. And then there was another Datsun, which is the 1600. This car is right in between. It was after the 1600 and it was before the Datsun 240Z. So we're talking, the generation would be late 60s. This one is a 69. The 1600 that had some pretty good fame and sold here in the United States was a 1.6 liter motor, and this one they went to a 2-liter motor, and it's got 2 carburetors on it. And the nice thing about it is it's an overhead cam. Some of the modern things that came into it in the late 60s is that this car has an independent suspension up front. So you got coils and you got hydraulic shocks on it. But as most of the other cars of this era, the back suspension is leaf springs. So this one had the modern independent suspension up front. The 2-liter engine gave them some more power. In fact, in Japan, it was considered a very expensive car because it had the bigger motor and more performance. Talking about the car, it's always, whenever they exported the car, it was a Datsun. It was either a 1600 for that 1.6 liter, or it was a 2000 like this one, which was the 2-liter. But when they exported these to Australia and in the Japanese market, it was also known as a Fair Lady. And I'm thinking like, well, that sure is a cute name for a nice sports car. That goes back to one of the Nissan corporate, his favorite play on Broadway was My Fair Lady. So they thought that'd be a wonderful name for this sports car. But anyway, most of the world knows it as a 2000 or a 1600. The car was very popular, and while it was a very affordable car over here in the United States, because it actually competed with Alfa Romeo, MG, Triumph. All these other manufacturers had 2-seater Roadsters like this, but this particular one had things such as the independent suspension up front, had an overhead cam motor. They actually went in on this model, which was right when they brought the 2000 out, and this windshield, it had a different rake to it, and they incorporated the mirror was incorporated into that. Previous ones did not have that. They went to softer surfaces in the dash. They also went to a pull-up type handle as far as entering the vehicle, because a lot of the other ones you would have to push a button and pull, but this one was a little bit more modern. So this car was actually one of the least expensive Roadsters you could buy in the United States. And not everybody knows this, but this car was raced. John Morton race team raced it, and so did Bob Sharp. And if those of you who know Nissans and Datsuns will remember that one of the drivers who first raced one of these was a guy named Paul Newman. And he went on to race for Bob Sharp in the 240Zs, 280Zs, and on there. But he did some of the early races. And in fact, these cars won the C class in the Sports Car Club of America championship. So that's pretty neat. It was considered an expensive car in Japan, but it was considered the least expensive Roadster you could buy in America. And when you start looking at how it was constructed and the power to weight ratio, all of those things made it an affordable and desirable car, and it proved itself on the racetrack. So Now the owner is here with me, and when you bought this car, it was not in this condition. You had it painted. Is that correct?
It's been totally taken apart and reconstructed, and a number of things have been replaced.
Okay.
But yes, all the body parts were taken from the frame. The
Okay.
frame was then cleaned, and any rust and so on taken away, and so a major effort was made to restore it. And I wanted more than anything that it really looked good and really ran well.
Yes.
So I'm very pleased with how that's turned out.
Well, sometimes you see a car that's restored and all they did is get the dents out of it and paint it. But you had a full take apart, put back together restoration done.
Right. The engine was down to the screws
Okay.
and the cylinders, and anything that needed replacement, such as in the engine area, all the wiring has been replaced.
Okay.
New fuel lines, fuel pumps, a number of things have been replaced that just weren't working well. So.
Well, when you're getting up to 56, 60 years, I can understand you'd want to have some of those things replaced.
Right.
The paint on this really has a beautiful shine to it, and it's a deep, deep red. I don't know the name of the red. I know when they came over.
Torch red.
Torch red. Okay, very good, very good. So that is a bright, bright color, and it looks to me like the chrome has been redone as well.
It's been all re-chromed. Yeah, all those pieces were taken over to Tennessee where
Okay.
they'll do such things, and made them shiny again.
Well, I tell you, that's the way you want to do it. It's different, like I said, than just taking the dents out and painting it. You had a whole restoration done. And now let me ask you about the interior here. The surfaces, are these the original?
The original seats,
Okay.
And the dash.
Okay.
But the flooring,
Right.
and the area in the back, all that's been replaced,
Okay.
including the side pieces.
Okay, like the door pieces in here?
Yeah.
Right, I can see even the little map pocket over there.
That's been replaced.
Well, that's great too, because over time, then that you can see where that would age. I'm noticing it does have the little snaps up here, so I guess some folks might use a tonneau cover. Let's see if we can see. There it is. Use a tonneau cover that would snap over this,
Right.
but you have the convertible top on it.
I have a convertible top and do not have the tonneau cover.
Okay, but if you're caught out and you get caught in a little rainstorm, you can just pop the top right back.
This was a new piece.
Okay.
The frame and
The frame and the fabric.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, they did a beautiful job, and it's actually a piece of history. If you're thinking of sports cars and roadsters, and you're going back to the British invasion with the MGs and the Triumphs and so forth, and then even Alfa Romeo was selling similar cars. To have the Japanese car come into this country, that was kind of a new thing in that time.
Yes.
But they got a lot of respect. They got a lot of respect as far as what they had put together and how the car was designed, and then they got on the racetrack and kind of proved themselves. So.
Yes, and they were, as you said, they were much more affordable. I was 16 when the 1600 came out.
Yeah.
And it caught my eye, but at almost $4,000
Yeah.
at the time seemed like an awful lot of money.
Absolutely,
For a 16-year-old.
I understand. Well, I tell you, it's a great, great looking car, and it's a piece of history. And I thank you for showing this today.
My pleasure.
Thank you.